Hello, hello. Welcome to the first episode of
Quantum
Quantum Perspectives.
Perspectives.
Please do bear with us. It's our first ever episode. We're excited but more nervous in a good way, perhaps. By the way, I'm Jason and this is my co-host,
Iori.
So since today is our first ever episode and we're excited to be sharing our stories later on down the road, and hopefully you too can relate. And I hope that what we talk about with our contrasting mindsets, not to give any spoilers yet, can help you at the end of the day. So let's just to get started. Who are we? What do we do, and why did we name this podcast Quantum Perspective? So if I can start first.
Sure.
We're friends, but also artists in our own way, or I guess emerging artists, not to, so that we don't sound too arrogant. I'm specifically photo and video based, and Iori, I believe, is multidisciplinary. But what brought us together, except for being friends in late in our university careers, is we have this, I think, it's contrasting mindset where Iori is quite zen in my opinion, and I'm very overthinking and panic mode, which usually I would think opposites do attract, but we don't seem to come to an agreement that often. And somewhere down the road, after having this multiple conversations, I told her maybe we should just record what we talk about and make a podcast out of it instead of letting all this information go to waste. Not saying that all that we said is correct, but it just might vibe with somebody else. It might be relatable. It might help somebody because it helped me. Do we want to just go right in? And how did this podcast even get started?
Sure. So should we start talking about the conversation we had at the bubble tea place?
Yes. I had this job that I was doing with Iori, and after that we had udon, and then after that we just sat down for, I'd say, an hour at this bubble tea store, and I was quite skeptical about, because she's very open and she's very trusting.
Thank you for saying that.
She was very trusting and open during our conversation, and I told her, I don't know what your game plan is, or what your ulterior, or what's your real goal here. Like, you're opening up to me, but clearly you want something. Like, you're not getting. Just tell me. You don't have to give me all this lip service and say all these nice things to get what you want. You can just tell me what you want, and we can get this done. And she says to me, if I'm not wrong, this is not accurate, by the way, that's why there's no quotation marks. She tells me, I don't want anything. I feel safe, so that's why I can share. I was like, no, I don't buy that. Like, everybody wants something. Like, if you're friends with me because you want something. And she had this look of confusion on her face. Like, what do you...
Yeah, to be honest, I'm still confused that you actually said that to me.
Like, what do you really want? Like, is there something I can give you? Is there something I can help you with?
Yeah, I was like, I'm just here, being here at the moment with you.
Well, you don't waste my time, I don't waste yours. So tell me what you want. And I don't know, she looks so confused. And then somewhere along the way, I don't know what, the conversation was long, but she ended up asking me, I think your first friend, your idea of friend was quite, it was really negative.
Fairness.
And that's why it just trickled down to the next person. So you have this inner belief that, oh, because a friend is that person, this person was a friend, so that means this person, the mold of a friend is
Perhaps.
this. At the end of the day, they want something, and people are amazing actors, so they'll do whatever they want or need to get what they want. And I
How?
guess I don't want to assume for a lot of people, but for most people, you do what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And then she tells me about this experiment that she was saying. She some common theme. I don't know. Maybe you'll hear it later on down in the podcast. But something that she tends to say is, "I used to feel that way. I used to be there. What is the secret or what did you do to move past that?" Because a lot of times she'll say, "I used to think that way, but now I've changed. I think differently now." The conversation really revolved around the thought of, well, you're not happy where you are now because you're trying to change, but you're not really stepping out yet. So what's really stopping you, or who or what are you really looking for in a friend? Clearly, I'm not good enough to be your friend. So what or who are you looking for? I think that was the message that I was getting across. That confused me because on paper, logically, the person I was looking for is someone that is present. They're not on their phone, which she wasn't. She was very honest. She felt safe, and she was sharing what maybe she did not share to other people. And logically, that's the kind of friend that I want to have in my life. But for some reason, I'm just not buying this. Like, this is all act. It's because she knows what I want. That's why she's playing into what I want to get what she wants. I said so many times during that conversation, well, that could be a trap. This could be a trap.
Right.
And
I still remember that.
I'm sorry. But she
It's
did.
okay.
She said, yes, maybe this is a trap. Maybe it's not. And it's really up to you whether you believe me or not. And I thought, like, is she angry? Or is she just saying the truth? Because it really is up to me. And so,
well, yeah.
And at the end of that conversation, because somehow an hour or so passed by, she told me about this experiment that talked about changing the vibration of your thoughts to be positive. And if you just assume that people that you trust, people who you feel trust you, they all have good intentions for you, maybe you might be happier. Because I did tell her, the kind of life that I want to live is the life that's in shoujo mangas. And for those people who don't know what shoujo manga is, unlike the more popular mainstream bigger animes such as One Piece, Bleach, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, or Demon Slayer, shoujo mangas generally revolve around everyday life, school life, romance.
Right.
Except, in my opinion, the guys looks much better in shoujo mangas, but that's besides the point. That's not why I read them.
True.
It's because I read shoujo mangas because I realize that's the kind of life I want to live. Go to school, laugh with friends, and really feel at home. And if there's romance at play, I don't reject that idea, but I'm at the more surface level of that's the kind of life that I want to live. I want to go into a circle of friends and feel I'm at home. And so I would, at that point when I'm gonna actually let you explain the experiment first before I go too deep into what happens after. Could you explain a little bit about your experiment? Because
sure.
I don't really remember despite going through it.
So, from what you've explained so far, it sounds like I'm teaching that experiment, but I'm also in the process of experimenting, still ongoing. And it's sort of, so like where I heard this information is from will be around, those spiritual type of YouTubes and any other contents. And I heard this idea about quantum physics or mechanics, which is like pretty scientific, but it's closely related to spirituality and how you sort of see the world. Or I'd say the premise is that you create the reality, like how you see the world sort of creates the reality, or what you experience in your real life. So that's what I sort of shared with you at the time. And is this enough explanation?
Yeah, I think maybe most people might be more concerned with the results, although the
Right.
theory, of course, is important and the idea behind it. Because, as you may have just heard, I don't know if you comprehended that, but at the time I thought, this is all theory. Like, I mean, that she's a living proof of it, so there must be some truth to it. But they say when you're at your lowest, when you're at rock bottom, you can only go up. So
Right.
I thought, what's the worst that could happen if I tried this? And it was so hard at first, and it still is hard. It's still pretty hard sometimes because why? Because I'm what I had to do was essentially change the direction of my thoughts that I've been thinking in for the past more than 10 years, because it's something that this way of thinking of you have to be critical at all times. You have to question people's decisions or people's intentions, because the real world isn't as fantasy and beautiful or anime where your friends are really your friends because they have pure intentions. And that may be true. I'm not saying everyone is
Correct.
falls under this mold of everybody wants something, and one day they might backstab you or something like that. And I also said to her, maybe I've been around the wrong people, and that's why I can't seem to believe that even our mutual friends, we have
Perhaps.
different experiences with them. Even though it's the same person, we have the same opportunities to
Right.
interact with them. But I still think they're not my friend, but apparently I'm their friend. It's only been over a month, I'd say, since I started the experiment, and I'm not, this isn't some one of those, hi, my name is Jason, and I've gone through this program for X amount of time, and I want to say it changed my life. This is not that kind of program. I'm sorry, but I did slowly see changes physically and mentally, and the more it's like wiping your, if for those of us who wear glasses, it's like you just haven't cleaned your glasses for a long time, and then suddenly you clean it, and wow, like, oh, the view is different. Because why I say that is because slowly I realize, oh, the people I've been looking for, I know this sounds really cliche, I'm sorry, but the people I've been looking for have been right in front of me the whole time. The people I never really felt were my friends considered me as their safe place. For not all of them, but I'd say some of them considered me as their safe place, and I can be a place where they can vent, share their stories, their worries, and seek not only advice sometimes, but it's just sometimes you just want people to listen to you and not really tell you, oh, you were wrong, or oh, you were right. Because most of the time, I don't think I need to hear or want to hear people tell me, well, this is what I think. I didn't ask what you think. I came I thought I could come here and just talk. But when you're introverted and you draw yourself into a box that you made by yourself, and you've been living that way for so long, it's a bit hard to break out of that shell, to suddenly to go from, I don't know, some people say maybe it's because we're Asian, but someone told me that, and I can't help but disagree, because they said we're kind of raised in a way that we shouldn't inconvenience other people.
Right.
You should be able to do it by yourself. And I'm not shaming that. There has been and is a lot of pros to that. It's how I got here. But I also understand that taken at the wrong dosage or amount, it can get really, really damaging. I say the mentality, like how I got into it. I'm not saying I'm the prime or the best example of taking this mentality of you have to be able to do everything yourself to the extreme.
For her.
But at least out of the two of us, I wanted to say that I believe in the, as long as I can still move, then there's not time to rest. You rest after you've earned it. If you haven't earned it, then why are you resting? You have to keep going. Company first mindset. And then that's where we kind of differ, because that was something I would kind of like write in like bold letter, not physically write, but I would wear it like RGB lighting, like I'm so proud because I am like machine. Because some people have called me the ideal employee, because I would put the company first based on past working experiences.
Right.
And I never really prioritized myself compared to, I'd say, Iori, maybe in this space at least, because I was always so caught up on, as the company's happy, I should be happy. But the fact that I'm here shows that I'm really not.
For her.
And I think I only realized that when I started talking properly and opening up about it to somebody that doesn't answer every single thing I say, and just, it just felt different. I'm not saying she's the only person that really makes me feel like I'm understood and listened to. There are other people, they're just a bit more shy to speak in public. Unlike
I'm also shy though, but
it took a lot of convincing.
Right.
It really opened my eyes when a lot more people started saying to me when they listened to me, they said, I hope, or when I tell, I'm so nice to other people. I'm not bragging that. I'm just, I'll say, it's okay if you as long as you try it, that's okay. But I would never say that to myself. It's okay if you tried. It's not okay if you tried. You have trying is not good enough. Achieving is good enough. Like, you have to achieve it, then it's good enough. And I realized there's so much contrast, because when it comes to other people, I'm less Spartan or hardcore about it, or extreme. Where, for example, I have friends that just started their photography journey, and I'm a fan of mentoring, and I don't know, maybe I'm just nerdy that way. Like, oh really, you like cameras too? Like, here, this is what, like, can I help you in your journey? Can I be part of your learning journey too? And I'm self-taught. I did not really have any, I had some formal training at university, I guess, for photography, but for the most part I learned on the field. So one day I picked up a camera, a DSLR. I'm not sponsored, so I won't say the brand, and I just started documenting in churches and school events. And so I'm meeting these people who have formal training or are self-taught too, and I see when they take this good photo and they're so happy, and they say, I can't believe I took that. And I said, and I'll say like, oh, congratulations, that looks really good. But in my mind, if I did the same thing, that's all you can do. Like, this is very contrasting, and I always thought, well, this is what drives me. Negative reinforcement drives me. So, but then meeting someone who is so, I can't run like that. I can't think like that. I don't think I would do that. At first, my first response to people like that were, oh, you're just soft. But I realized that I'm not happy either. And they're so happy, but not to be rude, but they might not be achieving as much, but they're so much happier. And I was so confused. Why are they so happy with what they have? Why are they so content when I'm striving to achieve so much more, yet I feel so miserable and broken inside. I feel so empty. And this experiment really changed my mind, because I started thinking more positively. I started, as I say, put yourself first mindset. So I slowed down. When I feel tired, I'd actually rest, instead of saying, see, the difference of people who are successful and not is what you're going through right now. People who are tired and still push, those people are successful. People who are tired and rest, that's why you stay where you are. I thought, whoa, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And I guess that's because I was so accustomed to this mindset for so long. Yet, yes, I was slowly breaking down. Yes, I was sad, but they say, there's that, I don't know if you know the saying, suffer now, enjoy later. Have you heard the phrase, suffer now, enjoy later before?
No, not really.
Okay, well, there's this saying that I heard growing up, suffer now, enjoy later, which was mostly used for, in my case, where I don't know if you were a good student in your primary, secondary school life, but I used to think, oh, well, it's okay, I can play now and just do the homework later.
Right.
But then my parents would always say that, and I thought, like, why? And because that saying was so ingrained, over time, I just applied it to everything. Suffer now, enjoy later. Suffer now, enjoy later.
And that's where, I used to feel the same way comes in, sort of. Because that's how we're taught in pretty much all the education system. Especially if you're Asian, I guess. I don't know. It might apply to other cultures too, but yeah.
But just to go a little into what this experiment looked like, at least internally for me, just before I asked you about yours, because I don't know when you first started, but mine's a bit more fresh because it was literally a month ago. It was hard at first. I had that adrenaline of change, like, oh, life is so happy now. This is the shoujo manga life that I've been looking for. I guess you can think of it as a sailboat. When the wind is blowing it goes faster.
Right.
That was my initial push. That was actually last December where I started seeing and enjoying life a bit more.
Right.
I think something that I keep saying to myself in Japanese is, nasakenai. Like, oh, it's such a disappointment. It's such a shame.
Right.
Why? Because this is what people experience. Most people, or some, I don't want to assume, but some people experience earlier on in their life where, oh yeah, this is my circle of friends that I can really feel I fit in with. But I'm realizing this at near my 30s. And I mean, some people might say, oh, that's not late. It's not that late. If you say so, but for me, this is something that I would think most people associate with their childhood, fitting in.
Right.
Well, I've been bouncing places to place, so I haven't really felt like I never have a circle. And because I've been raised in a way where I have to be independent and self-sufficient, So, for example, like your happiness should not be placed in other people. So you should be able to figure out how to be happy by yourself.
Uh-huh.
So having that kind of mindset and ingrained to you in such a young age, I learned how to enjoy my own presence and really make do or survive with my own presence without having to, for example, if I'm going through if I'm feeling down, then why should I tell other people? People might leak the information or something like that. Not versus I see other people they go through hardships, I'm there for them instead. So
Right.
I listen to people when they have something that they want to say, but when it comes to myself, I have to solve it by myself. I can't be weak. I have to do. I don't want to. I don't want to branch off too far, off topic. But you're as a male, as a tradition, like the traditional male, you should be able to handle all this. And I don't know where all these ideas come from. People,
Uh-huh.
it's very. People might say it's old-fashioned, but some people say, oh, kids nowadays are too soft. So I don't know. I'm just trying to. I think I grew up too fast, and I never really got time to process a lot of information, a lot of these experiences. I hope that at least from listening to my experience and soon maybe Iori's experience as well, that you too might you too can try it. You too can try and experiment at your own pace, of course. No rush, unless you really are in need of a change, like I was. I had nothing to lose. I just went all in. I made the gamble, and how I when I think during my first week, I told Iori, it's like I'm leaving my old best friend
For
because
her.
my old mindset has been with me for the past 20 years, and suddenly in one day I just said, hey, I'm gonna leave. Like, you're not, like, this relationship, it's not you, it's me. That kind of situation where
Uh-huh.
it's not you that did anything wrong, it's me. I'm the one that wants to change. I'm the one that wants to move on. And I couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle the pain of how can I leave this mindset? How can I leave the old me? New year, new me, but
Right.
like, I've been like, this mindset has kept me safe, too safe, for the past 20 something years. Suddenly I'm saying I want to be happy. I want to reach out to people. I want to be vulnerable with people, because there are people out there that I believe accept me for who I am, truly am, no matter how weird that I may be inside, or how dry my jokes are, how much I like dad jokes in multiple languages, by the way. And the summary, to jump ahead, yes, there are people, and I ended up, because I took the risk of reaching out to people and just opening up, and I've met people that I really connected with, and I can't say I regret it. I don't regret I was regretting the process at the time, late last year or early this year, when I told Iori, I lost the momentum and my life really sucks right now. I know it sounds like I'm whining, but like, this isn't what we agreed upon. This isn't what you said would happen. But I realized that I finished the first stage. The first stage was getting that initial shift in my mentality, where, oh yeah, this person, like, oh yeah, it's okay. This, for example, if I know somebody who is a relatively bad texter,
Uh-huh.
or like they're slow response, or they're not really expressive in their text. They're a bit more one-liner. I'm not mean to like diss them on a public space, but there are a few people that, that when I'll type really long and expressive, unnecessarily long, or many eyes in the high, like hi, with the wavy line. I don't know the proper word for that. Sorry. And then they would just go hi. Like, you're not really reciprocating my energy. And some people who accidentally or purposely leave me on red, I'm not really sure. I start thinking, oh, it's okay. Maybe they'll reply. Maybe they forgot. Versus, oh, I see how it is. I give you my heart. You give me your shoe or something like that. Like, I started assuming the positive, and I'm loving it. I'm not sorry, I'm not sponsored, but I'm loving it. I'm loving how it's turning out. It's a very slow process, but I realized that once I lost that initial momentum. It became a question of, now, are you, as in myself, are you willing to reach out? Are you willing to be the one? Because people have reached out to you for the past weeks or so, but now it's your turn. I think it became more of, unless I reach out by myself, or I'm the one that, unless I initiate, there's no meaning. There's no meaning if I don't change, because people are supporting me. But that was during the winter holiday, when most people don't really have, school or work. Then they'll have time to spare to talk to me. But now that everything is back to normal after Christmas, New Year holiday, nobody's reaching out. And I thought, oh, maybe this was all fake. Maybe that, and they call it, like, it's like buyer's regret, where you buy a product and then you slowly start to regret it. I started having mental shift regret.
Oh.
I told myself, oh, you become so soft. You become so weak because now you've tasted and felt warmth from other people. Now you forgot how to, like, survive by yourself. It's because you've opened up to other people. It's like a boat or a ship. You opened your door, your gates, and you let water in, and now you're sinking. Like, you're already full of holes. You covered all of them, but now you let people in, and now you're sinking. So I started blaming myself, and that's something that I haven't really moved on from either, at least at the time. But now I'm starting to blame myself less and really just rely on others, as I think I should. Not 100%. I'm not saying all my problem. Anytime I have a small problem, I'm just gonna run to somebody that's gonna listen. No, but now it's, at least, I don't know if this means anything to all of you who are listening, but now I'm more in that stage where if I want to talk to somebody, I don't need a reason or a plan. Okay, I'm gonna talk about A and then B and then C. No, I've just started something I'm proud of, and you don't have to be proud of, but maybe this is normal for you, but for me, this is big. Yesterday, I made an unannounced call to a friend, and to me, that was record breaking, because for the first time, I didn't ask, are you busy? Are you able to talk right now? It was just, if God willing, this person will pick up, and I press call. Not even like call, video call. I was like, I'm gonna go all in, no plan, no script. I'm just gonna do it. Granted, this person was very kind and saying, if you ever, they're not the only one, but they're the more recent ones, the one that I've talked to recently, that said, if you ever want to talk, you want to chat, you want to vent, or just pass time, feel free. Anytime, just, you're welcome. And just like what I told you at the time, I don't believe this offer. Those too good to be true offers. Like, sign up today and get $300 back. Like, I get money for signing up. Too good to be true.
But it's a big improvement for you that you're no longer saying, is this a trap? Right?
Yeah, it's good, because unlike with when I when I talked to you, this one, because I knew you. Like, I've known you for now 2 years. I don't know. I met you in third year. I don't know. What I've known you for at least
So
two
like
years.
3, isn't it
Now
like
three,
3?
maybe
I don't
three
know.
now. But this person I just met in September. So I didn't know her that well yet. I met her in September. Oh, I met them because more than one person. I met them in September and I talked to them in December.
Uh-huh.
So I talked to them during my transition, which I was unstable because I was like,
Uh-huh.
I don't believe her. I don't believe them, but I kind of do. Like they were, and you imagine the first. I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting off topic here, but the first thing I talked to them about
Uh-huh.
was, I don't feel like I belong here, which is not even like, hi, how are you? It's just straight up, I feel safe with this person, and if I don't, this is the, how do I say it? This is the perfect chance to test how much I've changed,
Uh-huh.
how willing I am to risk it. And because they said, friend said, the authenticity you're looking for from others is authenticity. Sorry, the authenticity you looking for from others is the authenticity people are looking for from you,
Uh-huh.
which is a very fancy way of saying, if you want people to be authentic to you, you have to be authentic to them first to show that it's safe. Because I think a lot of us are looking for a place we belong, people that we
Uh-huh.
can trust, and we feel safe to be ourselves with. And I think we're all. Sorry, I don't mean to assume. Let me change that. I think most of us are only choosing to present, what is best.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, of course. You don't want to. I don't want to appear so down in front of everybody all the time either. That's why I try to be energetic like this instead of, I don't want. That sounds really heavy to come up to people, and yes, I did it back because I felt safe
So
with
uh-huh.
these few people, and that's how I became friends with them because, like, I just jumped it. I took the big leap, and it's not even
Perhaps.
like, hi, nice to meet you. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? To suddenly, yeah, I don't think I belong here in this group. You're all really young, and I'm kind of old and extinguished, and I'm kind of quite foreign, even as among a community, despite being Indonesian
Perhaps.
and in a community full of Indonesian people, I still feel like I don't belong here. And that's not a really good conversation starter, but it just took off.
Right.
And I really didn't think, it's one of those act first, think later
Well.
on instinct, and I don't regret it. This to me, that is the fruit of early first stage of the experiment. But what about you? I'm sorry, that's a very long way to answer.
Right.
Like, how was, like, that's a really short summary of 2 months of me just trying to have this mental shift.
Right. So, in terms of mental shift, I'm still in the process. That's why I keep experimenting, as in doing things sort of what I think out of my character at times to see what happens. And I think that's what happened to you as well. What specific thing do you want to hear from me?
Nothing really I don't really have anything in mind. I'm just wondering if there was, what made you want to try to make that change? Because
Oh,
you don't go through a change or an experiment with the purpose or end goal of changing.
for
uh like for me, it was because the life that I wanted
how?
required me to have these shifts that
Right.
your experiment seemed to, like, your offer seemed to have provided
For
based on your vocal brochure of your experiment. It seemed to offer what I wanted,
right.
which was, I wanted to trust, I wanted to have fun and feel safe with the right people, for me to be authentic, I needed to really leave my own bubble first. And in order for me to leave my bubble, I had to shift my mind from thinking everyone is a threat to my peace.
Yes.
Like, my security was on overdrive, essentially.
Yes.
And that's what I realized, that was what was stopping me from approaching or making that shift.
Right.
But I don't really remember asking you or hearing why you decided to do that yourself.
That's true. So in terms of this whole journey, not just this specific experiment, sort of like unlearning or changing the mindset you have, it probably came around the time when I was second year ish in the university. Because so up to then, I was really like more of a typical hardworking A student type of mindset, just like you've been. And at that point, I felt really stuck. And also, although I used to believe that if you try hard enough, you can pretty much achieve anything or accomplish anything. But it was no longer applying to my reality at the time. Specifically in calculus class, that's like the hardest course I've taken in the university life. Plus, that was a required course, so I couldn't escape from it. And I was wondering, so maybe mathematical stuff, it's partly talent. If they're good at logical thinking, they might be able to prove things better. But then I just decided to, how should I say? I just decided to be nice to myself and surrender to what the life brings to me. And that was around the time I started looking at more of people who talk about spirituality. Like, even when you feel stuck, you're still being guided. So, have you heard saying like rejection is divine protection? I just took it seriously, and I was like, okay, maybe this like stagnant feeling I feel. It's probably for leading me to somewhere better that suits me more. And that particularly was a studio art program.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we might cover this in later episode on like how we became artists. But yeah, just to briefly mention my background, I went into university for computer science program, and I changed to studio art major, although I did computer science and statistics as my minor, and I still like that subject. I just wasn't good at math at the time and felt really overwhelmed. Yeah, that's sort of my background. So when you're forced to change, you just look for a way and guidance in any shape or form, right? For me, that was the time. Yeah.
And how do you feel right now? Like, is there something that, like, are you happier now, or is this?
Absolutely. No doubt.
I don't know if that's a forced answer because this is your own experiment, but
Right.
I mean, I went through it too, and it's a lifelong process. It's really just, I think it's less of a change, but more now refining
Uh-huh.
and fine tuning. Well, what else, like what's missing, or what can I fix, or what can I improve, or how maybe. And of course, it's not. I don't think it's really of a straight journey. It's quite up and down, I want to say, because some days I'm gonna be happy and really at peace. Maybe because I'm not really stable yet in this new mindset, and because some days it's hard and lonely. Some days, because I'm shifting, I'm really relapsing here and there, because this is really something new and I'm not used to it yet. But I'm glad that I have people that I can really, ironically, because I'm being so giant and heavy, people that I can lean on respectfully, that can help me through this change. But the important question that we seem to have forgotten to answer is,
Right.
why did we name the podcast Quantum Perspectives?
So I still remember that we were thinking about the name.
Yes, we were.
Maybe I said, let's put the word quantum, because our whole conversation started from me mentioning about quantum physics or mechanics. And perspectives, because we had such a different view on the same event or topic. Yeah, that's why we made it plural.
I think on if my side of the story, maybe because we can't agree on one, or is, I think for my in my opinion, it was partly because we went through looking at what podcasts are already available and use this name, Quantum. Or at first, I think it was something. It was supposed to be Untitled Perspectives,
Right.
but then there are already a lot of podcasts called Untitled Perspectives, or Untitled, or like I think it was like Quantum Zen. And we found that, there are already podcasts with that same name. Somehow we landed on Quantum Perspectives, and I think it's a good name because it pays tribute to the quantum experiment that started this whole conversation and this podcast. And perspectives, of course, is because, like you said, because our conversations, which sadly are mostly off air and not recorded, has to do with you telling me, I don't think it's binary. I don't think there's only two sides of a coin.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more perspectives than that, and maybe we'll talk about it in a different episode.
Right.
But because this one is really just for introduction to a little bit of us and the experiment and the podcast itself. I really do look forward to the other episodes, because there's so much that I not just myself, but with Iori as well, that we want to share and talk about. And I hope you all stay and be part of our journey as well. This time it's really the closing, nobody could tell, because we've reached 50 something minutes at this point.
Wow.
And time really flew by, but maybe it's because I talked for most of it.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I'm more of a listener.
It's okay. That's why we were quite representative of
That's true.
our groups of people.
It's true.
But just to close off, where can people find you? Because you did say you're studio art and computer science. Do you do work or something like that?
Yes, I do. So if you want to find me on social media, go to Instagram and type in at iori.artwork and you'll find me.
So how do you spell that?
So Iori is IORI and dot artwork is just artwork.
Nice. And if you do want to see some of my works. I'm also on Instagram. I am in the process of creating a YouTube account to vlog because I happen to also do video, but I do like photo a bit more, as that's really my job professionally. And I am at Instagram at Jasoto, which is JASSOETO. Okay, so that's it for our a very, very first episode. Please, I do apologize if we're a bit too nervous or
Mhm.
we as in I, really digressed and branched off and talked too much or ranted too much. But, I have too much energy, too much stories that I want to share, and I do beg for your patience and understanding and I hope you stay for the next few episodes that we have lined up.
Okay, and let me apologize if my presence was too subtle. Well, see you at next episode then.
Bye.
Bye.